Hey guys, Matt, IronTrap Garage, and today we are working on replacing some of the parts that have been sitting for 50 years and are not working the best. So mechanically we got the car to run with as little work as possible, and then as we've been getting it closer to the road, there's been some stuff that I knew I was going to have to address, but now is time. So one of the things I've noticed is something with the accelerator pump I think went bad in the Carb, and it's been kind of falling on its face when you try to accelerate or pull out of the garage. And I knew it was time. The Carb sat for like I said, the car sat for like 50 years, and the Carb sat just like that with old dried up fuel in it, and we just put new fuel in it and started using it, and now it's kind of starting to act up a little bit. So what I did, I just did a quick little search on eBay. I was going to buy a rebuild kit for it, and I stumbled across a guy that had a 55, 56, 265 Rochester, all rebuilt, ready to go, that he had rebuilt on eBay, and the price was not a lot more. It was definitely less than my labor and the gasket kit. So I bought the car, figured I have a spare one just in case I can throw a kit in and just have laying around. And I don't really have any spare GM stuff, so it'd be nice to have a spare carburetor. So we're going to work on swapping this carburetor out today and try taking it around the block and see if that helps a little bit. If it helps it drive a little better, I'm hoping so. And we'll fix some of the issues, obviously, with just the normal accelerating problems we're having. So I'm going to work on getting that one apart, get this one dropped in, and we'll see how it acts.
I always like swapping on a newly rebuilt car because it's like makes you feel like you really accomplished something.
Yeah.
Like just take out like 4 bolts.
It's like 4 bolts and 2.
Like, man, this thing runs sweet now.
Yeah,
Look at all
man.
the work I did.
Woo! Ready for a beer.
Yeah.
Like, man, that was really, thing's great.
Yeah.
That's why people buy all those like brand new 4 barrels.
Yeah.
It's like you just bolt it on, suddenly things like great, right out of the box. So you don't have to touch anything.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at too, especially with this car. I'm like, I just want it to run. I don't want to. That's probably why. All right, we're free. The little cap keeps popping off. Some rust. Alright, so we got the carb just laid on here, and there's a couple differences I wanted to show you guys on this thing. So number one, on this carb arm, they actually bent this in a 90 and then another 90 up, which actually shortened the arm and made it sitting lower. And this, oh, dropping stuff. This arm here was actually like way downhill when it was sitting at rest, so it was actually sitting probably like down here, and it definitely wasn't getting a full throw on the throttle. So now what we're doing is we had to put a little bushing in here because this arm on the Carb that was rebuilt was a larger arm. They may have used this bracketry here maybe from a later model. The hole was small originally, so we got a little, dug in my bins, found a little rubber grommet that fit in really nicely and holds everything tight, and that seems to work well. Obviously there's an issue here with the spark plug wires. We're gonna have to relocate them or get them sitting a little lower, but what we're working with now is trying to get full throttle or full throw. So when we move the throttle arm, Carb's still dry, we just trying to get everything working how we want. We're just off from full throttle. It needs to go a little bit more. So we need to get a little more throttle. So I'm going to play with pulling this out and tightening the rod a little bit and see if we can get a little more throw out of it. I actually bent the pedal to get the pedal, like the toe part of the pedal, a little better the other day when I was driving it in and out of shop. But that may have changed our throw. So I'm going to try and fiddle with this, get a little more throw out of it and get a happy medium. Pull this plug wire bracket off, let that sit down so we can get the throttle right first. So yeah, we're doing some tinkering here. Nothing's a direct fit, especially when you're dealing with an old hot rod that they modified stuff. Worked in the configuration that they figured out in 1963, but as soon as you change one thing, it's Not always how it works. Alright, so we got these out of the way here. Spring will be back there. So we have just about, has to go to about there. So we're just off. We're full throttle. Let's try taking this off and tighten a little more. So we have to go back and forth and maybe even bend the pedal a little bit if it's hitting on the floor, or we tighten this up and the pedal's sitting way too high, then we gotta play that dance to get everything sitting just right, but we'll get it. They actually welded, this piece is chromed, but they like welded a bung on the one end. The threaded part to fit the GM carb on the Ford throttle linkage. Alright, so let's see here. That's better. Still need more though. Alright, well, keep playing doing the dance. Alright, so if you want to check just get in and hit the pedal. I'm going to go stick my head under, see where the butterflies are at. Give me 1 second and just open the choke here. Alright, go ahead and open that.
That's all the way open.
Yeah, I mean we're like, go ahead again. Yeah, I mean we're 3 degrees from being wide open throttle, 2 degrees. I mean it's very, very little. I think for a little stock 265, for now it'll be good. Just to get the thing, I want to see how much better this carb runs. So we'll tighten everything down and button her up. Alright, so we got the carb hooked up and sprayed a little stuff down in the carb, try and get the fire and then fill the bowl up. We'll see what happens. Can't believe the bowl filled up that quick.
Yeah, good fuel pump.
Alright, we'll let it. I can't believe it, that fuel pump filled that bowl that quick.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta let it warm up before we set the idle air mixture, but it already sounds like it's a little better. I don't see any fuel leaking anywhere. So the bolts you tighten down are tight. I'll let it run here for a little bit. I'm sure those spark plug wires aren't helping things. It still sounds like it has a little bit of a mist to it, you know, so. Change them out next. Now we wait. Alright, let's take our first little maiden voyage with this new carburetor. Hopefully we don't break down going around the block. There we go. So the idle seems pretty good on it. There's still a burble to the exhaust that I can't tell if it's just that the car has the straight exhaust, or if I think you might have heard us mention that it's got the original plug wires on it still. I noticed when I was messing with this little tack that it was getting, I got a little zap, not real bad, but enough that I noticed. So we may need to do plug wires and maybe misfiring a little bit, and that might be what we're hearing. Not sure, but let's take it around, see if we can make it around the block. And yeah, here we go. Take the e-brake off all the way. Still gotta bleed the brakes a little bit better. I can feel there's a little spongy. You gotta pump them once and then they get hard. So it needs another round of that. Definitely feel it needs an alignment too. It's got a little pull to the steering there. Oh boy. All right, so our first maiden voyages, so to speak, around the neighborhood with the 34. Drove it for, I don't know, 5-6 minutes around the area and just in my little neighborhood, and it went very smoothly. Keeping the speeds low, obviously, just to kind of feel out the suspension. The car hasn't been aligned yet, so obviously we need to address aligning it as far as the towing and stuff goes. So I just wanted to go around, make sure that nothing felt real odd or shaky when driving it around in just, you know, low speeds. That was great. The other thing is that the new carburetor that we put in worked out perfect. We pretty much bolted it on, and with just a little bit of turning of the idle screws, we got it to idle pretty nice. Got the throttle set up so we pretty much have wide open throttle and a good idle, and it works out really, really well. I'm very happy with it, and that took away all the issues we were having with the drivability and the bogging when we were pulling out. And it was just a matter of, you know, that carburetor was just all gunked up. I took it apart and you could actually see all the stuff that was hiding inside of it. But that was a good swap out. Now I have an extra that I can rebuild and put on the shelf for me, so if we ever need another one, have some extra GM parts. Since I seem to be putting a couple of GM engines in old Fords, I should probably have a little bit of that stuff laying around. So now that we got this done, the last couple of big things we need to do is I have to wire up the voltage regulator for the generator. I don't have one of those yet. I need to pick one of them up. I gotta do the spark plug wires. They are the original ones that were put on it back in the day, and I'm sure that they could use some replacement just to be safe on those. I'm gonna utilize the cool little like accordion boots that were on the ends of the spark plugs because they just look cool. But I'm gonna use those but put some new plugs on it, which will be good, and just like buttoning up a little bit of wiring and stuff like that. We're gonna, as I mentioned when I was driving around, I need to bleed the brakes another time. I could feel that the brakes have a little sponginess to them on the first push, and I'm a little worried if we have to do a panic stop that'll be an issue, as these brakes on these old cars, the original Ford brakes, aren't the greatest, but if they're bled up and they're adjusted correctly, they do work pretty good. These ones just need a little bit more adjustment. So otherwise, pretty awesome. Drove the thing around 5-6 minutes and it didn't overheat, didn't break down yet. I still got to drive home, and it drove actually pretty decent considering all the work that's been done to it. So really psyched about this. Just got to do a little bit more work and we are home free, and we can start driving this thing a little bit further and further and further from home, and it's going to be awesome. I'm going to put a ton of miles on this car. So thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. Catch you later.